What's up, Doc? Welcome to the Docs Get Money podcast. Are you a badass doctor killing it professionally and has bigger dreams than just clocking in and out of the hospital? Do you want to leave behind a legacy that is as lit as an HBCU homecoming? Want to know how other doctors are getting to the big bag? That's right, making 5, 6, and 7 figures without putting on the white coat? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Kimberly, but you can call me Kim or KB. I went from being a burnt out and overwhelmed emergency physician to the founder and CEO of 2 6-figure non-clinical companies and beating burnout along the way. I'm also your business coach, here to help you make money moves to change the world. This podcast isn't just about making money, though. It's about leveling up your life, mindset, and bank account so you can build an empire that's as iconic as Beyonce. You ready? Let's get into it. Picture this. You're sprinting out of a building engulfed in flames. The very structure you once revered as a temple of healing now is nothing but a towering inferno of burnout and frustration. Behind you, the endless nights, the thankless shifts, and the corporate medicine structure controlling how you practice are all consumed by the blaze. Up ahead, you see nothing but freedom, clarity, purpose, income, and impact. That's where I come in. And from side hustler to CEO, my signature one-on-one business coaching program, you'll start your own fire by launching your first profitable coaching, consulting, or midterm rental business and make clinical cash in 90 days or less. That's right, 4 or 5 figures in 90 days or less. This is for the doctors who feel like every shift is a dumpster fire, unmanageable, or just out of control. Let me help you rise from the ashes, thriving, and with a business that brings you life instead of sucking it out of you. Ready? Slide into my DMs on Instagram at Dr. Kimberly B with the word out, and let's turn the burnout into the bag. Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Tuesday. Happy Taco Tuesday. I hope everything is going well for you. I'm not usually on live, and so I thought that I would start back doing lives again. And I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's been on my heart. I gave a little poll in my stories the other day. Hey guys for joining me. Hey doctors. Hey. Nice to see you guys here. So I wanted to, like I said, take advantage of something that I did in my stories the other day. And I wanted to do this class. I was thinking about doing it as a master class and having people to come register and do all those things. And I was like, no, let's not do that. I thought that it would be a really fun idea to kind of do like a 3-part live as here on Instagram about how to go from burnout to the bag. And this is specifically for clinicians. So anyone that practices medicine, dentistry, you're a pharmacist, anything like that. Basically, how to turn what pisses you off into what makes you some money. This is basically what I did as far as what I grew my business, Sherwood Properties, basically from an idea to a 6-figure company in a year. That's what burnout will do for you. And so I thought that it would be a really good idea to, like I said, walk you through the steps, exactly what it takes to do that. And I want to do that, like I said, in 3 parts of live. So tonight is not going to be everything. You are going to have to listen in tonight for the first part and then come back tomorrow. And on Thursday, I'm going to be doing the next 2 parts over the next couple of days as well. So grab a pen, take notes, but of course it'll be saved here on Instagram and you will be able to access it. But yes, so if you're interested in the topic, let me know, drop a little flame in the comments. I do see a couple of people have joined me on live today, so thank you so much. If you don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Kimberly Brown. I'm an emergency physician by training. I'm also an entrepreneur. Like I said, I have a company called Sherwood Properties. It is a midterm housing company right here in Memphis, Tennessee, where I am based out of. It's really for traveling medical professionals that are coming to the area to have a place where they feel relaxed, restored, rejuvenated, all of those wonderful things. And I will tell you a little bit about why I founded that company in just a minute. And I'm also a business coach for other doctors who are interested in starting their own businesses outside of clinical medicine. My specialty is really helping you if you decide to be a coach, a consultant, or if you want to start your own midterm rental business. I am your girl to help you out there. So I'm really, really glad that you landed on my page and landed on this live today. So wanted to at least give you a brief introduction of who I am. And again, thank you so much for joining me for this live tonight. So without further ado, like I said, if you're watching this video, you're likely a doctor of some sort and you are burnt out or you're just over clinical medicine and your clinical work. I found myself very, very much in those same shoes, very close to when I stopped, got out of residency back in 2018. I, of course, just got out and the world was great back in 2018. Just got out, started practicing medicine, making money. And then 2 years later, boom, here comes COVID-19. And as on the front line of a global pandemic as an emergency physician, you can imagine how crazy things got. And so I found myself worked out or overworked, just underappreciated and burnt out just because of my clinical schedule. I was based here in Memphis, like I said, but I was working shifts that were maybe sometimes an hour and a half north of where I currently live. And then sometimes I would have to drive an hour and a half south. And I'd only have like literally an hour or a few hours of a flip over time before I needed to do that. And so it left a lot to be desired. And then they had a lot of clinical shifts that needed to be picked up. Hey, everybody that's joining me. So I found myself, like I said, very much burnt out, very much over it, very much hating clinical practice. And I found myself honestly at the brink. I was trying to find other ways that I could maybe make money outside of working clinically, because of course nobody wanted to walk into the hospital during COVID-19. Not even the doctors wanted to do that. So I found myself doing telemedicine, which made great money. But of course, then I find myself chained to my computer and I'm always on my phone trying to take a consult or trying to take a video call or do something with the patient. So it was like, okay, what can I do to make money, but also that I am free to be a human and to help other humans and still just kind of do something different. So that's when I really founded Sherwood Properties. And it was honestly at the rock bottom. One night or actually it was one morning at a Hampton Inn in New Albany, Mississippi. I was laying in the bed. I had just gotten off a clinical shift. I had to go back in the next night, work a 12-hour shift. And it was just bumping all night long. The ICU was jumping. COVID patients were sick. I was breaking out. I still had telemedicine shifts I was working. I had charts that I had to sign from when I was still working in the hospital. It was just a lot of things going on. And I remember coming home or back to that hotel and just laying in the bed and just feeling overwhelmed and just bursting out into tears. And I couldn't even get comfortable because one, it's a Hampton Inn. I'm bougie. I'm sorry. I like a nicer hotel. Okay. And I couldn't get comfortable. It wasn't making me feel like there was a place that I could even relax. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers, but like just let's go back like a couple of years ago, like during COVID, when we had to wear PPE, we had to wear N95s, we were covered in head to toe things. My hair was frizzing out because I had always had to have a scrub cap on. I didn't want to get COVID in my hair. I was breaking out because I always had an N95 on. And then I'm staying in this hotel that when I walk in the door, like I clearly have on scrubs and I clearly just came from the hospital. People aren't even wearing masks. They don't even look like they believe COVID is real. They're side-eyeing me. It did not feel like a safe environment for me to be in. And so that overwhelm, those tears, those thoughts, those scenarios just came to my head. And I decided to say, you know what? Something has got to give. Like, if I cannot find this place, I wish I could have a place where I could be like I was at home, where I could relax, where I could renew myself, where I can restore myself. Like, if I had to go back to another shift, at least I could just relax, just take the hospital off, just give myself a place to like renew myself, have a really comfortable bed, have a place to just read a book or just have a really great internet connection, a warm glass of tea, be able to cook myself a nice meal, or have a full stove where I could warm up some nice leftovers, something that made me feel like my house and not like a cold, insert here, 2-star, boring ass hotel that is not going to make me feel, like I said, like I was feeling like I wanted to be at home. And so I decided to create that. And it took me some time to think about it, but as I was thinking about it, like I said, I want to walk you through the steps of one, how I got there, and then number two, how you can do this for yourself. So I gave you like a little bit of the synopsis of my story, but let's kind of go deep into what we're going to be talking about today. And one is I want you to be able to leave, at least tonight, being able to understand what burnout really is and what that is potentially showing up as. I feel like so many people are talking about, oh, I'm burnt out. Oh, I'm burnt out. I'm feeling burnt out. And I feel like that's like a very cliche, very common thing for everyone to say, right? But what is burnout actually? And so I wanted to actually get the definition and the term so we can know exactly what we're talking about. And so we can actually identify what that looks like potentially for you. So according to the dictionary, burnout is a long-term stress reaction marked by emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and a lack of personal accomplishment. And so a recent study by the Mayo Clinic said that over 50% of physicians are currently experiencing symptoms of burnout. And I know that is actually even higher. I've even read studies that said even 63% of physicians, especially emergency physicians, are experiencing some level of burnout. So what does that actually mean? That sounds like a bunch of riffraff. What is emotional exhaustion? I know for me, it showed up as, okay, here is another patient, the 10th patient of the day that's coming in with fever, cough, cold-like symptoms in the middle of a global pandemic, and they tested positive for COVID, right? Everyone is flu-like symptoms, cold-like symptoms. No one is actually saying they had COVID symptoms. And it's like, okay, I can only share so much of my emotions about, okay, you have COVID. Let me tell you what that means. Let me tell you what that looks like. It started to be like, all right, yeah, you have COVID. What questions do you have? You didn't really get the same empathetic, sympathetic, educational physician that I normally am. I know that for me personally started to change, especially when I was at the height of my burnout. I felt very disconnected from my patients. I felt very much exhausted from trying to have the emotional reaction from people about, what their diagnosis was and what could be going on and things like that. I didn't feel like I was really in it with my patients as much as very more because I was tired of it. I felt like every patient I had to be in it with them because I had to tell them your loved one had COVID or you have COVID and I have to admit you to the hospital and yes, you need oxygen and all of those things. It just got very, very, again, emotionally exhausting to have to kind of have those same conversations over and over again. I think for me, also depersonalization showed up for me as I felt like I was being treated as a physician, not like I was a human, meaning that when I came into patients' rooms, when I came into work, it was immediately, let me cover myself up, let me hide who I am, let me put on a face shield, let me put on a mask, let me cover up, let me put on gloves and things and do all of those things to hide myself. And I just felt like kind of a blob, like someone that didn't really going to connect with other people anymore. It was very, like I said, hard to do that. And so that's how depersonalization showed up for me, very much when we had to wear so much PPE and put so much distance between ourselves and patients. I remember taking calls in the ER, like and calling inside of patients' rooms, not being able to talk to them face to face because I was afraid of being infected and they had all those symptoms. But it was just like I had to talk to them through the phone, even though they were just a few feet away from me. That broke me down as a doctor to, have people coming in alone, already scared about what potentially could be going on with them, worried if they had COVID or if they were going to catch COVID by coming into the hospital. So many different things. But that's how depersonalization showed up for me. And I think the last thing where I would say lack of a personal accomplishment, and please y'all chime in if any of these things show up for you, but a lack of personal accomplishment is that I actually got awards for patient care and for patient service while during the pandemic and during my burnout. I was actually a part of a campaign to encourage people to come back to the hospital, that healthcare was safe to receive and that they should come back for their illnesses and to be seen and to be assessed. But I didn't even feel like I was worthy of all of that because it was just like blah, blah, humdrum. Nobody cares. I'm just a widget in this machine. They're just using me for my degree, blah, 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 blah. So that's what burnout looked like for me. And I think that's what maybe a burnout looks like for a lot of physicians. I see a lot of doctors joining me. Hey, Dr. Jeannie. Hey, Dr. Life Addict. Hey, guys, thank you so much. I'm just talking about how burnout shows up and for different people, and specifically how it showed up for me and how I identified with it. But more specifically, we're going to turn out that burnout, all of those bad things, into how that can make you some money. And so the biggest thing, of course, is, like I said, how do you identify? What does that look like to you in real life? And so for me, like I said, those were the ways that it showed up for me. It made me feel like I was depleted of my energy. I was consistently exhausted, not only because of me working 12-hour shifts overnight, driving an hour plus sometimes between my home and working between different shifts to and from the hospital, different things like that. But just even if I got rest, I still did not feel rested. I felt like I didn't have any distance from myself and my job. It was just kind of all one thing, and everything was just kind of bad and negative, and I just did not see what was good of it all. So those are some of the ways that burnout shows up for me. And so I want to take it back to what are the statistics and what are the studies are saying, because that's how it showed up for me, but maybe that might not identify with you. You might find yourself identified in another different way is you can have increased incidence of stress, disruptive behavior, mood disorders, and then a lot of times burnout has a high rate of clinical depression associated with it. I will go ahead and say there was a lot of other things going on in my life personally that was going on other than just me having a really, 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 really shitty work schedule and going through everything that had going on at work. There was also other things that was going on in my personal life that definitely contributed to the depression. And also, I want to just point out, too, that any physician that has had or shows signs of burnout are at a really, really high risk of substance abuse and also alcohol use and dependence. Not to shame anyone, not to point fingers at anybody, but one, like I said, to completely normalize and completely help you to identify that if you are feeling those feelings of detachment from work, from being just kind of burnt to the crisp, just kind of numb and over it, that these are some ways that it may show up for you. And this is not only important just because of you as a doctor, of course, but it also impacts your patients. There are also studies that show that people that are going through clinical burnout are also at risk of having increased medical errors, at increased risk of having malpractice suits brought against them, reduced patient satisfaction scores, and overall it can just decrease the quality of patient care that you're giving as well too. So it's really, really important to, number one, identify if this is something that you're going through, not just for monetary sake. Yes, I'm going to be teaching you and talking to you about how you can turn all of these feelings of burnout and exhaustion and numbness and anger and just feeling out of control into making money. But real life things happen. And if it is getting to the point where you are needing clinical help and clinical assessment, then please make sure that you do that. If you're having the signs of clinical burnout, that you do need to see a therapist, a life coach, somebody that is trained to help you, to assess you. That is the most important thing that I can say about all of this. I would not be sitting here in front of you right now today if it wasn't for my therapists, my life coaches that are continuously helping me to manage not only my clinical work, but also my entrepreneurial work and all of those other things as well too. But it's important to, like I said, recognize that these things are happening to you and that it is not because of you or that there's not anything wrong with you that this is happening, but you can address it and then you can get help with this. So the one thing, like I said, is recognizing, this is why I'm spending so much time telling you all about burnout, is that if this is you, then please seek help, number one, first, from a life coach or a therapist. And having a place to express what you're going through is really, really important to help you navigate how to move forward going from there. So then after you recognize what you got going on, right? Then let's talk about how you can actually take what's burning you out into transforming it into the bag, right? So the next step after you recognize the burnout is identifying what is actually causing your burnout. Right? What is it? Is it your work environment? Is it your schedule? Is it your responsibilities? Right? For me, it was a combination of a lot of different things. It was one, my work schedule. I was working predominantly nights, overnights, 12-hour shifts. And then I had no control over where I was going to be working. One night I would be working maybe very close to Memphis. Then another night I have to work, drive 2 hours away from Memphis. So I had no control over my schedule and where I was working. And I had no control over my environment. So the only thing that I felt like I could actually control is my environment after I got off of work. And so what could I design and what could I do to improve that? That's what I'm trying to say, or in order to change that. So I challenge you to think of that for yourself. If you're feeling those feelings of burnout, what is it really that's causing you that burnout? Is it because you're working too much? Is it because your actual work environment is toxic and you have a very difficult management structure or a team, or maybe your shop is just, like I said, just a toxic place? You don't have a great medical director or just leadership, or it's just not for you. Identifying exactly what is causing your burnout is really, really important, because the next step is going to likely be you're going to have to set some boundaries for yourself and set some boundaries around your time and your energy as to what is going to need to be cut off and what things you're going to have to say no to in order for you to have some more time and some more energy back for yourself, right? So if it is your work schedule, maybe you stop saying yes to picking up those extra shifts when they keep calling you and asking you, oh, please, doctor, can you please just pick up this shift because Dr. So-and-so needs this. This not your problem anymore, right? Maybe it is the fact that you need to consider picking up more shifts at a different hospital system. Maybe there is another type of work environment that you would thrive in. Maybe you've been working at a level 1 trauma center, level 2, working in a busy community hospital. Maybe you want to shift and work in more of a rural setting, and that will make you feel more at ease. and more at flow, and make you feel like you would have a better control over your work environment, right? So remembering or identifying, I should say identifying exactly what is causing your burnout and being able to label it is very much important about being able to move forward and identify next, reflecting, okay, what is actually causing the burnout? Is it the work environment, or is it your schedule, like I said, or maybe it's something else? Maybe you can't identify something that is actually directly causing your burnout, but maybe it's time to reflect on what are some things that you can go back to that will cause you to be happy again, that will renew you, that will restore you, that will make you feel good about yourself, that will be a release for you. So some people are like, oh, before I was in medical school, I used to surf. Okay, can you do that? Before I went to medical school, maybe you're an artist, or you were a public speaker, or you sang, or you designed, or you did something. But what can you go back to? What skills or interests did you have outside of clinical medicine that excite you, that maybe you can go back into, and that would cause you to bring joy, and that would be something that you could contribute to the world, that would bring pleasure to someone else? I always have loved asking people, before you were a clinician, before you even wanted to be a doctor, did you ever want to be something else? And if so, what was that? If you got your degree in something else other than biology pre-med or English pre-med or something else pre-med, what did you get your degree in, and what else did you want to do? Because remembering that and tapping into that vision of yourself and that remembrance of yourself can be so powerful in helping you to get over your burnout, tapping back to those positive feelings about what you can do, what you can grow, what you could be still, because you have breath in your body to do that. So I wanted to say, so first of all, tonight we're talking about how to, first of all, identify what is burnout. We're talking about what exactly it is, how it shows up for you personally at work, and then, of course, what to do about it, how to turn that burnout, how to look at it into something that will give you something that will make you money, turn out into the bag, right? So I'm sharing my story, like I said, with Sherwood Properties. It came from me very much so being burnt out as an emergency physician, working on the front line as COVID, as a locums doctor, traveling back and forth and wishing, praying, crying, literally, to have a place that I could renew myself, because I feel like I couldn't get rest anywhere else. I was always on the alarm. I was always on schedule. I was always going back and forth, and my schedule wasn't my own. And so I took the time to think, okay, what is actually pissing me off here? What's making me mad? What's mad is that I have control over absolutely nothing right now. So what can I control? The one thing that I felt like I could control was the place that I said I was staying after I got off of work. Okay, what if I could create a place that was just like a home, right, for other traveling medical professionals? And it was just like a house, and they could come and they can stay, and they could just be there while they worked. And then when they left, it would just be, what have you. Started to just think about, well, what can it be? Maybe it's a hotel of my own. I don't feel like purchasing a hotel. What are all those things? Started doing more and more research. That's when I came up on short-term rentals and midterm rentals. And that's when I came up on the business model that I had, more specifically, rental arbitrage, to start my own rental business. And so I was able to create my own homes away from homes as Sherwood Properties, and then rent those out to other traveling medical professionals as well, too. But first, it took me, like I said, recognizing that I was burnt out, recognizing what was causing it, and clearly identifying what was causing me to be burnt out, and then really reflecting on what could I create? What would be a solution to the problem? In the dream world, in my absolutely pie in the sky vision of everything. What could be? And how could I create a solution to this problem for someone else? And that is how I came up with Sherwood Properties. So I want to just leave those thoughts with you tonight. I see so many people dropping in and waving. Hey guys, I'm just talking about burnout, and I'm talking about how to get you to take you from burnout to the bag. And tonight is, like I said, the very first night. We're going to be talking about literally talked about identifying what burns you out. And then tomorrow, we're going to take a step 2. I want you to really, really reflect, though, before our next session, before my next live, is thinking about, again, what is burning you out? What's pissing you off right now? Like, if it's something at work, what's making you mad? If it's something that's at home that you're constantly bumping up against, if there's this problem that you're constantly bumping up against that you can't find a solution to it, what's causing you to be angry? What's causing you to be frustrated? What's making you feel annoyed or enraged? Whatever that is causing you to feel those things. I want you to reflect on what is that and write that down. And think about that is this a bigger problem? Is this what other people potentially are going through? Have you talked to other clinicians? Have you talked to other friends, other family members, other coworkers that may be going through some of the same things that you are? And taking, like I said, those notes and writing those things down. 9 times out of 10, I can help you to create that problem into a solution where, like I said, tomorrow we'll be talking a little bit more on how to do that next. So I'm so glad that you guys were able to join me today on tonight's live. I will see you guys tomorrow for part 2 on how to go from burnout to the bag. Thank you for listening to the Docs Get Money podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcast. Share, comment, follow, and subscribe to the Docs Get Money podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know more, visit me, Dr. Kimberly Brown, at KimberlyBrownMD.com, and be sure to follow me at Dr. Kimberly B on Instagram. And until next time, let's go get this money, honey.